Martha, she didn't lose her faith in the waiting. We're going to jump down to verse 20 and 21. It says, so when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, so Jesus finally, after 2 days, decides to head over to Mary and Martha. And at this time, I better tell you that Lazarus passed. So Lazarus was sick. They sent word to Jesus. Jesus stays 2 days. Lazarus dies. So Jesus is now essentially coming for the funeral. And it says, Jesus was coming. She went and met him. But Mary remained seated in the house. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Wouldn't have died. So the third truth that we can learn about this story when it comes to miracles is unusual faith. Man, we need to have some unusual faith. See, Martha had this incredible faith in Jesus because she said to Jesus, hey, if you had have been here, then you would have been healed. Like if you had have been here, Jesus, then he wouldn't have died. Martha had no doubt that Jesus had the power and we would have been able to heal Lazarus if he had been here when he was sick. There was no question in her mind, but here's the thing. Sometimes our faith is tied to our past experiences. And we look back and say, well, this is how God moved before in my life. This is when, this is how, this is where I was, this is the song that we were singing, this is the place at the altar that I was standing when I was healed. Therefore, this is how it needs to happen so that I can get my next miracle. This is how it's going to happen, my next breakthrough. But when you read throughout God's word, very rarely, if any, did you see Jesus perform the same miracle in the same way. He changed it up all the time. I mean, when he healed one blind man, he spit in his hands into mud and put it on his face and healed him. Another, Jesus tells him to go wash in the Jordan, a dirty river. Then another miracle, Jesus just says, hey, just get up and walk. It's different. Every time that Jesus performed a miracle, he did it differently. Don't tie your past experiences to what God you're believing for God in the future. Too many times we have these preconceived ideas of how God could work and should work. But do you know that wasn't Martha's unusual faith? The fact that she believed that Jesus could have, in the past tense, could have healed Lazarus when he was sick, that wasn't the unusual part of Martha's faith. Because she had heard the story, she has watched and witnessed Jesus perform miracles. The unusual faith that Martha had was in verse 22, where she says this, but even now, I know that whatever you ask God, God will give you. Huh. Martha was insinuating and letting Jesus know, you can raise him from the dead. Oh, you could have healed him when he was sick. If you had have been here, I know that you would have. But even now, he's been in the grave. Even now, I know whatever you ask God for, he's going to give you. So she was saying, it's kind of nudging Jesus like, hey, I have no doubt that you can raise Lazarus from the dead. Letting Jesus know, hey, I've got some faith. I know it's not over yet. Yes, he's been in the grave for a few days, but let me tell you, I have this unusual faith. Lord, I know whatever you ask, if you choose, that you can heal. Do you have unusual faith today? Some unusual faith that, man, will stir you. And I believe that when we come to the Lord and we bring our petition, we've got to remember it's in God's timing, but we need to kind of stir up some faith on the inside of us. Because here's the thing, Jesus is sitting at the right hand of the Father, interceding on your behalf right now. You know that? Jesus is sitting right hand of the Father, and what you're asking for right now, Jesus is asking the Father. Worship team, you can go ahead and come back. So Martha makes this incredible statement that whatever you ask Jesus in this moment, God will answer you, I have no doubt. Then Jesus asks, all right, let's go to the tomb. We're going to go to the tomb. Show me where Lazarus is laying.